Hi everyone, I'm Sean Palis with ProSymmetry, and today I'll show you how to create and manage roadmaps in Tempus. Okay, so from your Tempus homepage, you'll find this roadmap management option. Now there are a range of global security settings that have to be enabled to allow you to view and or interact with roadmaps, but we'll treat those separately. So to create a roadmap, we're going to browse to roadmap management. And from this screen, you'll see a list of existing roadmaps that you have access to. You can also search, but in this case, we're going to choose Create Roadmap to create an entirely new roadmap. Now, the first step in the process is to provide a name. So let's call this new roadmap. Next, we can assign a theme. This is a color code that's used in the roadmap menu, as well as a description, which is also available from the roadmap menu. To the right, we can specify the permissions, who can view the roadmap, and who can also edit the roadmap. So if you wish to co-author the roadmap, you can choose who those users are. Next, under Display, we're going to choose how we wish to group the projects that appear in our roadmap. Tempus roadmaps allow up to 3 project attributes for grouping. So perhaps we want something like grouped by client, and then maybe something grouped by, how about program, and then maybe something like by status. We have that. So let's do project status. Notice that the leaf level becomes available on this color coding section. And for each of those leaf values, we can choose a unique color code. So in this case, I'm using project status. So the possible values are prospect, proposal, on hold, archive, and active. This is, again, just a custom attribute that's established inside of Tempus. You can use whatever you'd like. And we can choose unique color coding. So perhaps for a prospect, we're going to make it red. For a proposal, green. On hold, more yellow. Archive, purple. And active, again, maybe blue. Moving back to the left, we can choose the sort order. We can choose the default period display. You can change this at runtime, but you can set a default here. The options are monthly, quarterly, or yearly. We can choose which underlying data set is displayed on the bar itself. Remember, Tempus supports for any project an allocation data set, a demand data set, and a schedule data set. You can choose which of those data sets renders on a project by project basis. This option is for projects that are included where we haven't explicitly set these values. Which data set do we leverage? You can always leave allocation as your default. The next series of options pertain to various display settings. Tempus roadmaps allow you to show milestones, show progress, and then you'll find a range of portfolio risk indicators telling us where do we have risk to the portfolio based on levels of overallocation or levels of assignment concurrency. You can enable these options now, or you can set them at runtime and rerun your roadmap. I'd recommend just doing it at runtime. You can always come back to change these settings. You'll also notice at this point, we can modify the thresholds for the overallocation risk indicator and the concurrency risk indicator. So if you'd like to be alerted or identify a risk anytime overallocations are beyond 150% for a particular resource, you would just change that threshold here. Or in terms of concurrency, perhaps anything beyond 10 concurrent assignments for the month, quarter, or year indicates a risk. So you can change those settings here. Lastly, we have the list of projects to include in the roadmap. First, we're setting a time frame. So this specifies the overall window of time we're looking at inside of the roadmap. And next, we have our list of projects. From here, we can select all or use resource or project-based filtering to limit the projects that are included or available for inclusion in the roadmap. Lastly, we choose for each project which data set is to be utilized. In most cases, it's going to be purely allocation. So let's go ahead and select everything. Allocation will be selected by default, but this can be changed in bulk by selecting the headers, either to demand or schedule, or we can modify these items on a project by project basis. If you see one of the options unavailable, it's because the data set does not exist. But again, you can choose these as you wish. Also, if you're using the dataset preference option, these will automatically be completed for you, much like they would inside of Tempus What If. Now, once I've set my options, we'll go ahead and select Save. The new roadmap will now be available in our listing of available roadmaps. There's New Roadmap. And to launch it, we simply click New Roadmap. This will now open the new roadmap. We see the current date is highlighted here, and then we see our projects grouped by the various attributes we used when setting up the new roadmap. On the very top right-hand side, you'll find options to change the layout from month to quarter to year, options to access runtime displays such as milestones, display overallocation or concurrency risk, display progress, or to change our sort order. And if you wish to return back to the roadmap setup, you can choose this pencil icon to do so. And that's how we create and work with roadmaps in Tempus. If you'd like to learn more, you can find additional documentation and videos on the Tempus support site or contact us at prosymmetry.com.